This lesson is about rounding decimals to any place using the place value chart and a number line. One of the important key words of this lesson is decompose. Okay? When we talk about decomposing, we're talking about breaking a number into smaller parts, noting that the value of that number doesn't change. So you might have a $1 bill, which is the same as 100 pennies or 100 cents. Okay? It's the same amount, just the $1 bill is larger than the 100 pennies or 10 dimes. Throughout this lesson, we're also going to be using a number line. Okay? It talks a lot about a vertical number line, but it's okay if it is a vertical number line or a horizontal number line, whichever you think is easier. Okay? With the vertical number line, the lower number will be on the bottom, and the higher number will be on top. On the horizontal number line, the lower number will be on the left, and the higher number will be on the right. Remember, as a line, it does number line. The arrows need to be on the right side to let us know that we are just looking at a smaller piece of the number line, but it continues going on forever. So let's look at our first problem. Decompose 155 and round to the nearest 10 and 100. The first thing I'm going to do is draw a place value chart. For this place value chart, I'm only doing hundreds, tens, and ones because I only need to round to the nearest 10 and the nearest 100. And I'm going to use 1 unit to the right to look at that. Then I'm going to fill in the information that I have. With the number that I'm initially given, I have 100, 5 tens, and 5 ones. Okay? That's just writing down the problem. I have not decomposed it yet. Okay? The first step that I can do is I can take my 100 and move it over so that I have 15 tens and 5 ones. Remember, this is the same number, it's the same value, it's just arranging it on the chart a little bit differently. Okay? When we first looked at the place value chart, I said you didn't want to combine those numbers in there, and you usually don't unless you're decomposing. Now you can also do it so that we have 155 ones. Okay? Think of this as $1.55, or you can have 15 pennies and 15 dimes, and 5 pennies, or 155 pennies. It's all the same. It's just a different appearance. Now I'm going to use a number line to help me round. And what I'm doing is I'm going to start with the nearest 10. So when I look in my tens, I have 15 right now, so I know that's going to be the lowest number that I'm looking at the moment. So I have 15 tens. And the next number up from 15 is 16, so I'm going to do that as my top number, where I have 16 tens. And I know that my number is going to be between 15 tens and 16 tens, 15 tens being 150, 16 tens being 160. And I'm going to draw a middle ground where I would have 15 tens and, or plus, 5 ones. Okay. Now when I look at our number, we actually have those 15 tens and 5 ones, so 155 would be right here. But since we're rounding, we're going to round up to the nearest number, which is going to be 16 tens. And that's how I'm rounding it to the nearest 10. Now I need to round to the nearest 100. Again, I'm going to start with the vertical number line. Right now, looking at my place value chart, I have 100, and that's going to be my lowest. I'm doing 100. Okay, I'm keeping the same unit, so I'm still going to use hundreds. But now, for my top number, I'm going to have 2 hundreds. Because 2 hundreds is 1 higher in that same unit than what I already have. I'm going to draw my middle ground, which is 100 plus 5 tens. And when I look back at my place value chart, I have 100 and I have 5 tens, but I have 5 ones which go above what is already there. So I'm going to be slightly above. Okay? And since 155 is above this line right here, I have to round it up so that the nearest 100 is 200. So I have decomposed using my place value chart, rounded to the nearest 10 using a vertical number line, and rounded to the nearest 100 using a different vertical number line. Try this next one on your own. Decompose 1 and 57 hundredths and round to the nearest whole and tenth. For the place value chart for this one, you only need to draw one whole, tenths, and hundredths. You only need those three sections. When I decompose it, I start with my first number where I have 1 in the ones place, 5 in the tenths, and 7 in the hundredths. The next step to round it to the nearest whole, I have 15 tenths and 7 hundredths. And then to round it to the nearest tenth, I have 157 hundredths. Now I'm going to draw my vertical number lines. Okay, when I round it to the nearest whole, I draw my number line. I have 1, 1, looking at my place value chart. Okay, the next number up from 1 is 2, so I have 2 ones. I draw it in the middle where I have 1, 1, and 5 tenths, because I'm taking half of the next unit to the right. And 1 and 57 hundredths, I have 1 and I have 5 tenths, but I also have 7 above that, so I'm just above my midpoint, which rounds it up to 2 ones. When I do my vertical number line for the tenths, I look at my place value chart and see that I have 15 tenths, which is going to be my bottom number. 1 up from that is 16 tenths. Okay, the middle ground is 15 tenths plus 5 hundredths. Okay, and looking at my place value chart, I have 15 tenths and 7 hundredths, which is greater than this, so I round up to the next number. Try one last problem on your own. Decompose 9 and 975 thousandths to the nearest whole, which is 1, 10, tenth, and hundredth. You're going to need to do 4 different number lines to solve this problem. Here's what my place value chart looks like. I started with the first number that we were given, and I just broke it down as we kept going. Notice that I did put the decimal in each of these so that we don't forget when we convert it later that you will need that decimal. And when I did my vertical number lines, I liked lining them up because that made it easier for me. And so here's my vertical number line for ones, tens, tenths, and hundredths. Okay. In each case, all of these rounded up to the nearest to the higher of the two, so I have 10 ones, 110, 100 hundredths, and 998 hundredths.